the compass and square of the Masons, the cross and crown of the Knights Templar, the double-headed eagle of the Romanov Empire, which is now the official symbol of Russia. And we see our infamous all-seeing eye, seal of the United States, Novus Ordo Seclorum, birth of a new age, or birth of a new world order, or the secular order, order without God. And then, gee, what's that? The golden arches? An occult symbol? Well, if you go back far enough, what you're going to find is this golden arch is also the symbol for the Egyptian Satanic Trinity. So next time you go in for that Happy Meal, be sure to say a little prayer. Okay, what are they going to do to the United States? What's going to be the disposition of all of us? Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to wage war against us. They're already doing it. But it's not the kind of war that we think it's going to be. And personally, I've never been affiliated with the militias. Well, I won't say I haven't been affiliated with them. I know people in the militia. I've not been a militia member. But many of them are turning in their camos to put on kilts. And I'm referring to Braveheart. We're going to use a little bit different approach. We're going to use the same techniques on them that they're using on us. Now this is what they call psychic warrior. And I guess this is his psychic energy pouring out of his brain. And again, I apologize for the transparency, but this says psychological operations on there. Well, that's what they're using on us. Right now, the budget for psychological operations research is over $17 billion per year. That's a lot of tax dollars. That could go a lot for education, for a lot of other things, medical care. But this is what they're spending it on. This, again, comes under non-lethal weapons. What else are they doing? Well, they're controlling us more and more every day. You know, down in Texas, you know what we have to do now for our driver's license? We have to be fingerprinted. Also in Georgia, California, I think Alabama just defeated it. But by the year 2000, all driver's licenses will be uniform under the current law, federal law, and it will require a digitized fingerprint, photograph, signature, and it has that little mag stripe on the back too. Now what's the next step after that? Well, this will give you an idea where they're going. And you know, some people still don't believe that biometric implants exist. They don't believe it. You tell them about it and they say, that's crazy stuff. But actually this came off the Discovery Channel, and it shows you the, actually this was a story about an emu farm, and they were trying to defeat emu rustlers. So they injected them with these transponders, and you can see they can just point it where it's been injected and get the readout. Well, I've heard that there's a bill being considered now called the Child Protection something or other. You know, it all involves safety and protection of our children that would require implantation at birth. So they're already thinking about this. This is coming. The other thing they're doing, well, they're trying to make us sick and really mess up our weather by things like HARP. This is that giant antenna farm up in Gakona, Alaska, which is pumping, or will be pumping, about 1.5 gigawatts of energy, which completely will can disrupt all communications in the world. Now this has been going on for some time. The Russians back in the 70s had 3 of these, much smaller, and it messed up the weather so greatly in Canada that the Canadian ministry contacted the Ministry of Defense in the Soviet Union and told them they had to stop it. And then we made an agreement with the Soviets that we would not use environmental warfare as a form of warfare. But they didn't say anything about using it for controlling the populations. So my guess is that this will be used in the future either, well, it is being used now. In fact, in the patent it says that one of the uses is to modify weather locally, and also to seek out and look for underground tunnels, bunkers, and other hollow spots underground. But this thing, again, they're playing a sorcerer's apprentice. No telling what this can do in the future to our environment, our minds, everything else. Then we have our friends at FEMA, who would love it nothing more than to regionalize the United States. In Texas, I believe we're in Region 6. I don't know if we're in Region 4 or 5 here, one of the two. But anyway, here's a seal for FEMA. Got that triangle up there again. At least you can say they're pretty persistent. But what's FEMA all about? Well, FEMA has a multi-billion-dollar-a-year budget, but only 6% of their budget goes for disaster relief. Where does another 94% go? Well, it goes for building those underground bunkers and facilities, because that's where they're going. They're going underground whenever this thing happens. In addition, out of the approximately 7,000 FEMA employees, again, only 1,000 are designated for disaster relief. And FEMA really is, again, part of our secret government. They answer to the national security establishment, but they are part of the secret government. And under an executive order 11490, basically they can take over everything, including your personal property. Now, who's the kingpin behind the emergency management system of the United States? I think you're going to be a little surprised. Well, first of all, I want to show you the FEMA map. This is not the regional map, but this is the alleged concentration camps. And I don't really like to use that term because they were not designed as labor camps, but more detention camps. These have been around since the 50s, and they were going to be used in case we had major uncontrollable civil disturbances in the 60s during the civil rights movement. They were supposed to be disbanded, but instead they began to revamp them and increase their numbers. Now, these are just what they call the labor camps, where they segregate men, women, and children, families. My feeling is that people will be begging to get into these places when the time comes. Now, the other facilities, the detention facilities, which are modeled like after El Reno in Oklahoma, the El Reno Federal Penitentiary, the new facilities where McVeigh was held, this is where they're going to put the dissidents. In addition to that, they can also do what is called put them in internal exile. Again, with the chips, and this is, if you get the Encounter Chronicles under Mind War in the Revolution in Military Affairs, it describes something called a chip that they insert that identifies you as friend, foe, or neutral. If you're a Bible-believing Christian, what category do you think we're going to fit in? Foe. Okay, so let's get a guy of German descent. He was an Eagle Scout, Hittite heritage. Anybody recognize him? Well, let's go forward about 40 years. Does this guy look familiar? This is the person who is in charge of our secret government. This man has more power than Mr. Clinton does. They're keeping him in the shadows right now for a reason. And that reason is that Mr. Clinton is doing their dirty work, but Mr. Clinton, in my opinion, will not be around to see the fruits of his efforts, because they're going to either impeach him, or if that doesn't work, they'll exercise their usual option. But this will be the man